when I went into the teaching profession, I had a very limited view of what a career as a teacher looked like.
So as you guys entered the teaching profession, I'm sure there are many things you weren't aware of and career possibilities that you suddenly became aware of. So just kind of wondering, what were they and how have your views changed from before you were a teacher to how they are now? Might get Blake to answer this one first.
Yeah, I love this question, Katrina, because in all honesty, when I went into the teaching profession, I had a very limited view of what a career as a teacher looked like, in that I sort of only saw you either stayed in your classroom or you progressed into more leadership roles within the school. And they were exciting and appealing opportunities for the profession in my eyes. But suddenly now that I've been in it and you started to expose to all the different, professional learning organizations and opportunities, the one that's really stood out for me is the world of research in the classroom. And, I often heard of in my undergrad and my training of teachers, leaving the classroom to go and do research. But now I'm starting to realize that the two don't have to be exclusive, and that you can still be in the classroom and be doing research and learning as you go. And so that's a really exciting thing that I've discovered as I've continued in the teaching profession. And I think it's definitely a path that I'm really excited to explore. What do you think, George?
Yeah, look, I really like how you said the idea, when you first start, you feel like you're kind of limited, but like anything, the more experience you get, you sort of see how wide, the connections can be, which is really exciting. I think probably the main one's probably been just care. I think that's something that you sort of take for granted. So whether that's care in terms of the academic side or just home life or in terms of wellbeing, particularly at this point in time as well, I think that's been really encouraging, seeing a lot of people start to see that a bit more. So that's been something that sort of I've probably opened my eyes to a little bit more than just the teaching of a subject or just the teaching of a particular lesson. And that sort of advocacy role as well as teachers, we're such, we're so privileged in that role in terms of we're that really cool coalface between their learning and what they want to come out of their education experience. So that's probably been the big two ones. How about yourself, Katrina? Has there been anything that you've seen in terms of career possibilities?
To be honest, I'm still uncertain. What I knew beforehand and what I knew now, there is more that I know now. I know different opportunities and leadership positions, not even just leadership, but just roles that you can partake in a school. I feel like it's quite different in a primary school as well to secondary, because I think my main decision before I even became a teacher in the classroom was, do I want to go into primary or secondary? And I think with secondary, you already know that you're going to be doing English or humanities or drama or music. But with primary, you're still doing everything. However, once you're in the classroom as well, you can take on roles that specialize in certain areas in the school. So I'm still uncertain, still on the fence about where I kind of want to go with that. And I think that's okay. I know more now, which I think is good. And I'm hoping to still continue to learn more from others around me and asking other people who are in those positions to get a bit of insight into that as well.
I think you raise a really exciting point, Katrina, in that, I started off being secondary trained and have now ended up in the primary space too. And I think, we've talked about different opportunities to, progress your career as you go. But a really exciting thing that you can also do is stay in the classroom if you love it. We need really expert teachers. We need great teachers. And if you're at home, if you're in your element in the classroom, you don't have to, you leave that to do some sort of other role. So I think that's a really important thing to sort of add to that conversation as well, is that if you want to stay in the classroom, that's a perfectly okay thing to do too.
Yeah, and I feel like as well, to add on to that, is that I feel like there's also a little bit of fear in me as well, thinking, what if I leave the classroom and explore a certain path, but then can't come back? but I feel like I need to overcome that fear and try a few things first still to, you know, keep learning.
Yeah, definitely second that. And I think the advice you give to your kids is probably the advice that you have to take sometimes yourself with teaching careers as well. That's why we kind of got into it, because we enjoy learning. So I think, yeah, agree completely. Like, you know, be reflective, think through that process, but also, yeah, don't be too harsh on yourself in terms of that journey, because it's all about, like, you know, I know it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but the journey is much more important than the destination. So, but yeah, definitely agree.